Yeah. Cat disappeared.
Yeah, I won't participate in your meeting. I'll just be on the sidelines if you need anything.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chad.
All right, you guys are good to go. You can proceed.
Hey,
Let me know if you
Candy.
need anything. I'll be here.
Cat disappeared.
Hi, Julie.
I won't participate in your meeting. I'll just Whoops. be on the sidelines if you need anything.
Thank you, Chad. Cindy, do we have a quorum?
I think we do. You want to do a roll call, Candy?
Okay. Let's
Sorry,
start.
one moment. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Real quick, Cindy, I've got Scott. I've got 3 people waiting to join here. I want to make sure that, so Micah, someone, is that?
Yes,
okay?
they're all good. Scott, Micah, and Jennifer is our newest member. Yes.
Okay.
Do you admit
So
them, or do you want
Before we
to?
get started, I'm letting them in real quick to the meeting. And
The only one we don't have is Bob.
go from there. I'll give it back to you. I just wanted to make sure they were good to join and everything's good. Proceed. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Let's start with a roll call. I think the best way, I'll introduce myself. I'm Candy Sullinger. Is Andrew Brown here?
Yes.
I see Andrew. Scott McCauley,
Here.
Julie Wolf,
Yes.
Clark Harris,
Here.
David Parrish,
Here.
and I
Here.
think.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. We have a couple of new members joining us tonight.
Where's Micah?
Jennifer Holder. Are you here, Jennifer?
The iPad showing.
Yeah, I think she's
Can
on
you
the
guys-
bottom here.
Can you guys hear me?
hmm
Just check, see if Jennifer Holder is with us.
She may have to unmute.
Okay. But I think she's here is what you're telling me.
What's it looks like, yeah.
Okay. And then we will welcome back former member Micah.
Hi.
Micah, welcome back. Good to have
Thank
you. with-
you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? Did I overlook anybody? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is Cindy, can you hear me?
You mean Cindy Shook or Cindy Gardner? We used to get this all the time when we worked together.
Okay. Cindy Shook, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you well.
Oh. And I do know, Cindy Gardner, I know that you're here with us. And if we've got everybody covered and checked in, is everybody understanding how the meeting's gonna go? Oh, okay, all right. Well, at this time, I will ask for a motion to approve the June minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I don't know if Marcia's here or taking minutes, but all in favor of approving the June minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. And Cindy, welcome. You're here to talk to us about the Tree City USA presentation. And I think you're also joined by Amy Jackson, who's been to the board before, and I understand she's been on maternity leave, and this may be her first day back, so we'll go easy on her. Thank you for coming. Cindy, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So this is probably perhaps the most casual presentation of the Tree City USA Award I've ever done. I have like sandals on. I don't have my uniform on right now. It's awesome. So thank you for allowing me to present via your Zoom meeting. It's just a different world that we're in right now. And so I know we'll muddle through all of that. So it's my really deep an honor to always present to the City of Branson this award. So for those of you that don't know about the Tree City USA Award and why it's important for the City of Branson, I'll just share a few things about it. So the National Arbor Day Foundation oversees they're in charge of the national program, but the Department of Conservation, the Forestry Division, we oversee it and manage it for the state. And in my region, that's what I do. That's one of my jobs. And in this case, we have 9 in the area that I cover. I cover about 9 counties. Branson is one of the longest running ones, second running in my area next to the city of Springfield as a Tree City USA. Now there's 4 things that the city must do before they can become a Tree City USA. So the first one is that they need to have a tree board or a department that manages their city trees on public properties. So that would include, of course, Parks Department trees. And so the City of Branson does have a tree board, and they have Amy also that can manage it. And then I know Clark has served on the tree board. Julie was on the tree board ancient years ago. So thank you again for all of your volunteerism. You guys are awesome. So the other thing the city that has to do is they have to pass an ordinance, and the ordinance needs to say these very critical things. Trees are real important to us, and we recognize them as part of our city's infrastructure and our stormwater components, energy savings, and just the sheer pleasure that they bring to people. And then the third thing that you have to do is you have to spend $2 per capita for the your population of the last census. And so a lot of people go, oh, we had to spend money to do that, maybe a board or even the city council. What they don't realize is that actually cities spend anywhere unknowingly about $6 to $8 per person on tree care. Even if they hated trees, they're spending the money on it because they have to manage them along their right of ways. They have to pick up dead limbs. They have to pick up leaves, all these things. So they're doing that anyway. The fourth thing they have to do is have an Arbor Day event. And of course, we were not able to do that this year. But, and so the Arbor Day Foundation let everybody know they didn't have to meet that criteria this year. But Branson's always had one. And if you've ever been to Amy's Arbor Day event, she's doing an awesome job at that. And so thank you, Amy, for doing that. So the other thing that's kind of important about this is that there's about a little over 1,000 incorporated cities and villages in the entire state of Missouri. And out of that, there's only 110 cities that participate in the program. So I always say you're kind of the cream of the crop. You're the best of the best. It's an elite group that cities have stepped up to the plate and recognized trees as a resource for them in so many ways, not just about stormwater. We have so many new studies, information. Used to we would just say, yeah, they're pretty. I love my trees. But now we have things that tell us about how they benefit with healthcare, recovery after surgeries. There's studies on that they recover about a couple days faster in the hospital if people have the view of trees to look at. The green is a refreshing color. We know that in Japan, they're calling it forest bathing, where you walk into the forest. I mean, obviously you leave your clothes on, Clark. You don't change there, but you walk in the forest and it's a refreshing, people take breaks and they're calling it forest bathing. It's a big, big deal. Did you lose me? Are you still there?
I lost about half the members.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up
Yeah.
because it reminded me that we included the picture. I'm
I lost Cindy
Oh, I
completely.
see what you're doing. You're trying
Yes,
to.
I'm sorry. I was trying to connect to the actual agenda, and we painted Cindy talking about trees
Yes.
reminded me that we created a mural at the community center. And so it was kind of, to coin a phrase from Rick Davis, a sense of place, in which we've taken the Arbor Day information and the Tree City USA information and put it there. So please pardon me while I continue to try to bring that up, if you'll continue, Cindy.
I fixed mine.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Well, as long as you can still hear me, it's actually not a long presentation. I was going to entertain any questions or comments that you had about it. But again, there's only 110 Tree City USAs this year. That's a new high for us. Our goal was try to reach 100, and we were able to exceed that. So, but Branson's been a Tree City, if my numbers are right, because I don't have that information in front of me, Amy can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 25 years, if I remember right. I think we took it out, Branson became Tree City in 1995. So that's a long time. So in the Southwest region, we also have statewide, there's two other programs that the Arbor Day Foundation oversees. So one of them is a Tree Campus USA, and one is a tree line. And so Empire Electric is a tree line, and they service your area. So that's kind of important to know. You know, when I worked in Branson, it was a constant issue working with utilities on the way they pruned. Empire was one of, and you know, it was a challenge. And we worked through that. And Empire finally said, we've got to change the way we prune. And they're really doing that. So they really stepped up to the plate, and they're your tree line in your community also. And I love that because they're participating in the program, and you may or may not have not known that. So they're a good resource for you also. And then we have two tree campuses in my area. I have Missouri State University and Drury that's joined us. Hopefully College of the Ozarks might see that also in the future. But I just wanted to give you a few of those statistics. But is there anything else that I could share with you or tell you about that? And then I will dismiss myself from your meeting. But I do thank you so much for allowing me to do this.
I don't think so.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, I just want to add,
Thank you, you all. Whoops.
I'm trying to speak here. I just want to add, I really appreciate work with Cindy for a long time, and I'm very grateful for you know, the professional that she is and the friendship that I've shared with her. And she's just been a wonderful resource for us and guided us through the Tree City USA, and I'm very grateful. And I think Amy probably maybe would like to add to that, if that's okay, Candy.
Yeah, Cindy, you know I love you, and thank you so much for you've been a mentor for me, so I really appreciate that. You know, first getting to know you when I worked for the city of Springfield, and then having you when I moved down here has been such a big help. So thank you so much for all your help. I really appreciate it. What I just kind of wanted, I've got a copy of the application, the process that we do. There's an application that I fill out, and Cindy went over those 4 standards, you know, the tree board or department that's in charge of the trees, the ordinance, the forestry program, and then the Arbor Day. There is an application that I have to fill out that includes all that information, as well as an annual report for that year. And so I just kind of want to quickly go over those numbers so that you all are kind of aware. And again, this is for 2019. What the city of Branson, and this is just actually the park department. These numbers aren't reflected by public works or utilities, which those 2 departments also have tree related expenditures, especially public works. They're the ones that prune the street trees in different places, and utilities does also. But just for the parks department in 2019, our total community forestry expenditures came to $39,098.67. So we had 125 trees pruned. We planted 6 trees last year, which were our memorial trees, and there was about 70 trees removed, and 35 of those were dead or dying, and then 35 were removed for other reasons, such as hazardous or disease or something like that. And as far as it also factors in volunteer time. So I know Clark, he had quite a bit of volunteer hours from 2019, but the total number of hours that were submitted to me came to 316. And that's huge for this small, the small amount of volunteers we have, you know, like a handful of people, that's how many hours were submitted. So there's a lot of work that goes on in our community forest, you know, that don't get recognized. So I want to shout out, hey, Clark, thank you. I love you.
Ah, you're welcome.
So yeah, that's about it. As far as I know, we didn't have an Arbor Day this year because of COVID, and I was also on maternity leave, but which I haven't really got to sit down with Cindy yet, being my first day back from maternity leave. It's been pretty crazy today, but I know before I left, we kind of discussed about possibly doing something in the fall this year, do a tree planting or something to still recognize the efforts for our community forest. So I'm looking forward to planning something this, possibly late October or November when it starts getting really cool and we're not planting the trees out there in 85-degree weather, right, Clark?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, I would love to do that. And Cindy Garner is retiring in just a couple weeks.
No,
Won't expect her to be back for that, but congratulations, Cindy, on retirement.
Thank you very much. 8 days. I have 8 days left.
Oh,
wow.
We got it in the nick of time then.
8 happy days. Yeah, again, thank you for that. So, I'm sorry, Amy. I love Amy. She's awesome. So she's gonna continue to do great for you. But I'm around the corner. If you ever need anything, you guys just call me. I'd be happy to help. So, okay.
thank you.
Thank
Cindy.
you for having me.
Thank you, Cindy Garner.
Thanks, Cindy.
for
Appreciate
everything.
it.
It's nice to
Thank you,
see
Cindy.
nice
Good to see
your
you.
faces again.
You're the best. Way to go, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. And thank you, Amy. Andrew, you had a question?
I did. For some odd reason, I'm hearing music from somebody's background. So I don't know where it's from.
It's
Yeah, I
here
think
at the community center. They've got Zumba going on outside my door.
Okay, I wasn't sure where that was from. So
Yeah, sorry. It's pretty loud.
Okay. Any other comments? We'll move on to the financial report.
yeah, so I will just take that one, Candy, if that's okay. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble sharing the screen. I'm having a little trouble with that. I don't know if you guys, I'm gonna keep working on that. In fact, I may, if Jason takes over I may try to do it while we're talking. One of the highlights I want to hit on this report, if you guys saw the report, was obviously we're really being impacted by COVID-19. If you see the financials and you can see some areas, for example, concessions. Last year at this time, we have brought in 88,000 this year. Well, actually this report is through June 30th, but this year 40,000. So half as much, right? But if you look at the operating difference, we've held our expenses down. Last year at this time, our expenses were 58,000. This year, 35,000. So I'm proud of that. There are things that we can do to hold those expenses down if we're not obviously running in concessions. You can see our tournament revenue is way down, but that is definitely coming back. So we have started hosting events again, and we're hosting some of events at our softball fields and baseball fields. We're also hosting events in the gym. So I don't know if some of you read that the city of Branson did go to a mask ordinance inside city buildings. So that has been, I think, a positive thing for us. And it's certainly been a learning curve to let people know, they need to wear a mask. And when they go in the gym, obviously, if they're playing, they're not wearing a mask, but the spectators. And I've seen a huge difference in compliance in that in the last couple of weeks. So we continue to see tournaments come, and hopefully, people are being safe with those and social distancing. We certainly have enough signs, and we certainly tell a lot of people about that. One of the things also I'd like to really focus on a positive is youth baseball. So when we last met, I think we were debating about, how are we going to move forward with some of these things? A lot has changed in 1 month, and we have made modifications the programs that we're running. We're not running all of our programs. We don't have a day camp this year. We don't have swim team this year. But we are running some of our programs, and every program we are running, we're modifying. With baseball, we saw about 60 to 70% of our teams come back. And so I'm really proud of that item, because you can see while our revenue is at 26,500 compared to last year at this time, 35,500, our operating expense, our expenses are only at 9,300, and last year 2,500. So you can see we've actually done better this year. So I would like to compliment the person who runs that program, Josh Aubin. We're only using one umpire. So we've been really still making modifications on the field. One umpire kind of behind the plate the pitcher's. And so it really creates less congestion on the field. So that has also helped with our expenses, to keep our expenses down. You want to jump in anything that you see?
Sure. One of the other things kind of in that same vein, I look at the pool and I actually commented to Cindy that I'm very proud of what we've been able to do at the pool as well. While the revenues are down pretty significantly, we've been able to really back off the expenditures as well. And one of the things that I think we've done well as a department is we've been able to manage the controllables better than maybe even in the past. And so when I talk about the controllables, I'm thinking, we have salary allocations that are always going to come out. We got to pay lifeguards. We got to do some of those things, but we've really tried to prioritize all of our expenses, and we're looking at every expense through a different lens. And I think that has helped us be successful in really evaluating how we can spend money, because we want to be good stewards. There's no time more important than now to be good stewards. And I think that we've done that for the most part. Obviously, anytime we're down, in revenue as much as we are, that's, that gives Cindy and I both a little heartburn, I think, every day. But we're managing through our expenses really well. And as I told Cindy today, I think, there's not a lot to say about the financial report. We're hopeful that we'll keep bouncing back. We know why we're down in the areas we're down, and we'll keep plugging along. Our staff has kept a great positive attitude, despite some of the difficult circumstances that we faced. And we're all thankful to be here and be able to offer some of these programs, and it's going to get better.
Thanks, Jason. Micah?
So what are you guys doing different for tennis this year? Because that seems to be the biggest increase that I noticed. Did you guys add more sections? I know that's not the word, more sessions?
So Michael, what's happened is we've we don't have a separate cost center for pickleball than we do for tennis. And so our pickleball and tennis have been combined, and we've seen a huge increase in our pickleball stuff going on. And so that's reflected in that line item there.
Questions, comments?
Still all said and said, pretty good balance of revenue and expenses, right? Because of the fact that we know what's down. We're still hanging in there. I said at the last meeting, I'm very impressed that we're able to keep the thing going and keep it running as smoothly as we can.
If nothing else, we're resilient. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Julie?
I was basically going to say the same thing as Scott. It's just been a hard year for everybody, and you just kind of survive and try to go forth. So you've done a great job.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And I think I finally got the financials up. I was struggling with that. There are some things that have been successful, like Micah pointed out, pickleball. We weren't doing a lot of our tournaments in June, and pickleball was really popular at that time. But it is definitely a change. And you can see, normally our go-to at the campground, you can see that's certainly quite a bit behind last year at this time. in revenue, but we are, if any of you've been down in the campground, you know that it's been a popular place since, really since probably Memorial Day. So we'll see where we're at the end of the year.
Cindy, if there are no more comments or questions on the financial report, it would be a good transition to move right into the budget.
Sure. So one of the things, you know, we're going to be having our budget meeting soon. And so they're a week after next. And it will be interesting to see, we've prepared a budget. And, you know, I'm not sure how our budget will be impacted at this point. During the time of COVID and the shutdown, we had to, as I reported our last meeting, do kind of a COVID budget. And that budget was, how are you reducing expenditures based on, you know, limited revenues, based on sales tax, based on tourism tax, based on the revenues that the city's seeing, based on our own department's performance. So we did that COVID budget, and we're being, you know, that's what being looked at closely and being held to that. And so we have our budget meeting a week after next. So I'm not quite sure how we'll be impacted long-term. We'll get direction on that, but we're expecting to continue to operate in a lean way. And so that's kind of a little bit of an update on the operating budget as far as I'll know more next meeting. The other thing I'd like to hit on is capital budget. So some of you may have seen that Bob Simmons, who's a longtime park board member, somebody I just respect and value so much, he has been appointed to other boards now, and Jamie Whitus, who's also a long-term park board member, is still on our board, so that's great. They're both on the capital committee. So they were part of vetting the city's capital budget requests, and I showed those, I think, I thought we went over those last meeting. Does some of that sound familiar? David's nodding. I think I remember that. And so what they do is they look at that through the priority-based budgeting. And that's something that the city's gone to in the last few years. We've talked a little bit about that. You know, if you don't have enough money, how do you decide what to do? So our capital improvements committee was a large part of, and our mayor was part of that. Large part of scoring that. So I'm not sure yet how that will play out. We had several capital requests, including we had to re-request the wall there at Cantwell Park that we had approved, got approved last year. So that was one of the retaining wall that we were looking forward to doing some work on, and there were quite a few capital improvements. We're waiting to see how those will be scored and what type of, you know, what we can expect from that. And then lastly, the other thing I wanted to say on the budget, Candy, was some of you may know that it's hard to remember really pre-COVID. You know, a few years ago or a year ago, a statewide vote approved an increase in minimum wage. So does everybody kind of remember that? I don't know. And so last year at this time, we had to increase our wages, our starting wage. And I'm mostly talking about the entry level positions like lifeguards and concession workers and folks at that level. So we increased our starting wage from $8.50 to $9.50. And so we have made kind of a plan to 2023, because when we get to 2023, minimum wage is going up to $12. So we have made a plan each year to raise fees a little bit and also have to raise those wages. For example, next year at this time, we'll have to look at raising those wages. Instead of at $9.50, they'll go to $10.50. And then the year after that, they'll go from $10.50 to $11.25 in 2022. And in 2023, they'll go to $12. So because of that, we're having to look at each year, we're going to have to look at ways to increase fees. This year, we have planned for some increases in our concessions, but probably I'm leading up to my precursor in, we're going to have to look at some fees. We'll probably have to increase this fall that I'll be bringing this board for consideration, because next year we're going to have to increase wages. So all that to say, that's probably coming in the next couple of months. And really that's my wrap up on the budget.
Thanks, Cindy. We'll be ready for you. That's seems like something we really need to go ahead and take care of sooner rather than later. Jason or Cindy, which one's doing the program update?
I think Jason will cover that.
Yeah, so as you guys know, again, we've kind of talked through a lot of the things we've been doing over the last few months. And so just kind of to follow up on what we're doing and what's been going well. Some of the things, youth baseball and softball has actually gone really well. I think when we all went into that, we weren't exactly clear what that would look like, but I've been really pleased with the way that program is operated. We're winding down. It's about three or 4 weeks later than typical. Typically we finish right around or right before July 4th, but we've kind of, because of the late start, extended that, and we've got t-ball games and softball games and everything going on tonight. And so kind of wrapping those things up this week. As you guys know, we've kind of decided to not offer our day camp. We just didn't feel like with the modifications we would need to make that safe and feel comfortable with it, that it would provide the experience we would want. And so instead, we've chosen to do 1-day fun days and some sports camps this summer that are kind of small group, limited time, social distancing, all those things. And those have gone extremely well. I mean, we're limiting them to 15 to 20 people, but it's still providing a great service. In fact, tomorrow is cooking camp. We've got a cooking camp tomorrow morning for some of the kiddos. My daughter Ella went to the first cooking camp, and all she wants to do is cook now. And she's got a lot to learn, but she tries really hard. So that's been fun. We've got a few more of those lined out. Obviously, school's going back a little bit later this year, so we're going to kind of carry those a little further into August than we have. Another program that's been modified, our conference, our swim conference, the Tri-State Conference, decided to forego a season this year. Just didn't feel like, teams traveling to compete in swim competition was the best choice for this summer. So what we have done, as well as many of the other people in our conference, we've kind of created our own training program. And so Logan, who is our swim coach, she's been running that. And so while it's not, competing against other teams, we've kind of created two different times so we can split people up. We've limited the number of folks in those, but it's allowed our folks who have been a part of the swim team and who really enjoy those opportunities. It's allowed them to continue to be in the pool this summer and to continue to get better. It's actually been pretty cool because it provides a lot of one-on-one, hands-on type stuff that Logan gets to do with them that she maybe hasn't been able to do with larger groups in the past. And so those are some great things that have been going on this summer that I think have been really conducive. We spend a lot of time talking about how difficult this is and, how everything's changed and all that. At the end of the day, one of the things that I'm pretty excited about is, hey, even through all the difficult time and through all the tough stuff and all the decisions that have to be made and the modifications, like at the end of the day, we've still been able to put some product out there that people can enjoy. We've still been able to offer opportunities for kids to participate in some things. Tennis, Micah mentioned tennis. We've had tennis clinics and those went great as well. And so I'm just really glad that we have still been able to move forward with some of our things and really proud of what we've been able to do. And I got to say, Cindy's leadership through this has been extremely, extremely crucial. She has guided the ship through some pretty rough waters for the last few months, and her kind of decisiveness and willingness to, do whatever it takes, make more modifications, push in more, work harder, create a better environment, create a safer environment. Those things have made all this possible. So, just really fortunate to have been a part of that.
Thank you, Jason. You've been a big part of it too. And I think we all know that. You mentioned some things that you were doing, but is that going to take us right up to upcoming programs?
Yeah, I'll take that. And I was hoping to also hear from any of the board members who may, I don't know if Micah, your kids are playing in some of our programs. It's good to see you again. And we'd love to hear about how that's going and everybody's perception of things. One of the things we're really working hard on is what's next. So I think none of us know, what's going to happen as far as in the fall. And are we going to be able to offer soccer? Are we going to be able to keep doing some things? What can we do safely? And I think that's what we've tried to do. I think knowing that our business is open and we have things going on, there's risk, inherent risk anywhere you go. And we have been called by the health department and we have been notified that, hey, somebody was at Alexander's Park and that had an exposure and then monitor symptoms. I think there's risk in everything we do, but we're really focusing on every way we can to mitigate that risk. And so we're making plans for the future that involves plan A, plan B, and plan C. So if we can, using soccer for an example, soccer is a program that kids are probably closer together than, say, baseball. So is it advised? Will we be able to offer soccer? One of the things we're doing to mitigate that right away is we'll be spreading out more and not having 1 million people on games on Saturdays, right? So we'll spread all of our games out. We may play some at Stockstall. We might play games there. So there's less of a crowd here. That's really basically what we've been focusing on. If you remember what we did in the pool, we have limited the pool opening to only 3 hours. We have limited the amount of tickets or people that can be at the pool to 150. So that's kind of been our focus with everything we're doing, is hoping that will mitigate some of the things. So with soccer, the plan is to spread out and have opportunities to be in different places. So if that doesn't work, so then what's the next plan? So the next plan might be to, instead of playing 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, maybe you play 3-on-3, right? Or maybe you do small mini camps and you don't do an 8-week season. Maybe you do something, a 3 or 4 week season. And then plan C is a lot of the virtual stuff. So there's a tremendous amount of planning going on. Jason, he talked about leadership. He has shown great leadership in this area in creating what he's calling an emergency kit. I think all of us were shocked about what happened, and it's hard to know how to react. And so now we do know what happened. And so we want to create an emergency kit that if I had to be out for 2 weeks or someone else had to be out for 2 weeks, how do we continue to serve the community during this time? And so we're really focused on multiple layers of options. And soccer is one example. One of the things, Candy, that we're excited about is we're teaming up with the school, hopefully, to offer flag football. That's not something we've done in the past. And they've sought us out to work with them on that. So we're excited about that. We've met with the football coach, and we'll be doing that for kids ages K through 3rd grade. And we're going to be able to use the football field at the high school. We've never been able to do that before. So that will be amazing, and be able to use the turf. And they wanted to work with us. So we're excited about that. We're working on, in addition to our after action plans for different modifications, we're also working on looking at basketball a different way. I don't see where, again, Mike, I don't know if your kids were in basketball. If you walked in here on Saturday, there's 1 million people here. Those days are probably gone. At least they're gone for a while. So how can we do it differently? So we're looking at, instead of everybody playing in the same season, we're going to move the girls' season to more of the fall or early winter, and the boys' season to January and February. So what's the benefit of doing that? So less crowds, less people at games, spreading things out. So that's our entire focus in taking every program and looking at it. Probably won't have Bonanza this year. We're doing something different. So we're really looking at all of our programs. What do we feel is appropriate to do with the guidelines that we're hearing? Be really interested in hearing back from the board on this topic, and also what's appropriate to do and how can we do it safely. And that's kind of, really, Candy, what we're trying to do on upcoming programs. And again, I'd be interested in hearing feedback on that.
Well, it sounds like to me that you've already kind of got a handle on this, because as you were going through that, as Jason was going through some of his stuff, first thing I thought of is that, again, this is going to look different from now on. I just think it's inevitable. I think the way that we have looked at things and the way most of us have grown up and used park programs, whether in Branson or where we're from, that's done. I mean, this is going to be the new model that probably a lot of park boards, a lot of park programs across the country is going to have to use, because crowds are going to have to stay down. Number of contacts are going to have to stay down. And, and I think it's going to affect a lot of programs. And I'm still don't think we've seen all the effects yet, but it sounds like that you and Jason have already anticipated this and looking at some of these possibilities.
I agree, Scott. Cindy, you and Jason have really taken the bull by the horns and gotten ahead of the game, I really think. So keeping in mind all of the latest information that comes from the CDC, comes from the Missouri Department of Health, comes from our local health department too, which has been really good about communicating to the city. And kudos to our city administrators and city staff and all the departments, because they've all done a good job of trying to do the right thing. And sometimes you have to make difficult decisions for these, because people are all thinking, oh, it'll get back to normal. But as Scott said, it's kind of a new normal here until there's a vaccine out. This is kind of like the polio epidemic, smallpox prior to that. It's going to take a while in order to get a handle on the virus through vaccination and some herd immunity, whatever, before you really are able to get to some semblance. So you guys, your proper prior planning has been really, really good. So I appreciate that. So you're doing great, Cindy and Jason. Way to go.
Nice, Clark. Nice.
That's kind of not even a private joke, Clark. I mean, my kids still say that today. Proper prior planning.
Yeah, and support performance, absolutely. Mike has lived it.
That one I grew up with. I know that one for sure. I just want to say, like, as a parent, I really have appreciated the way that baseball and softball was handled. One, just, I know, coming out of this conversation of budget and revenue and expenses and all that stuff, looking at it as a business standpoint, you guys have that focus too. For my kids, with everything being just the crazy way that it was, especially with school, having an opportunity to come back and have something be kind of normal for a little bit was really important for them. And so I think what you guys are doing for the mental health of the community, mental health of the kids, having those opportunities, even though it looks different, it's still kind of the same. I love the way that you're talking about modifying our basketball season. One, I won't have 4 kids playing at the same time right now, so that'll be great. But then two, really just giving those opportunities for kids specifically, but for everybody to have something normal happening. We did spend a day at the pool at the Aquaplex, and I loved the way that it was done. I didn't feel stressed out, but my kids had the opportunity, because we're not going to Whitewater, but had the opportunity to go play and to go experience that. And so it's been really good for my kids and for their friends and for, I think, us as a community to offer these things that are kind of normal still, and they're done differently, but they're part of what we do. My kids were devastated they weren't going to play ball this summer. It was really hard having those conversations with them. And so opening that back up for them was a big deal for my kids. So I think it was done really well. I felt comfortable being there. The kids felt good. I think it went really well from my experience, and I'm looking forward to how we can continue doing things modified. So Good job.
I'm really, thank you so much, Micah. You've always been, I'm so glad you're back on the board. And I know you have small kids, and some of the programs we're talking about is with small kids. And so it has been a struggle to figure out the right things to do, because we want so much to be safe, but then, you know, it can go both ways. David, I know you have small kids and you have kids. I don't know if you have any input that you'd like to see. I'd love to hear your input.
Yeah, no, our kids haven't really been participating in any sports this summer. I mean, they usually do volleyball in, I think it's the fall. So, I mean, we've just been kind of curious to kind of see how things develop before kind of, you know, making that decision. But I'm just happy that you guys are sort of proactively planning, and it's not just sort of like when August and September rolls around, you know, just sort of just flying by the seat of your pants. So I think that's encouraging, kind of regardless of what decision we and other parents ultimately make. It's just nice to know that there is a lot of thought being put into it, and that I mean, that you are in some ways experimenting this summer, and that's providing kind of valuable kind of experience for what might happen this fall. So I mean, I appreciate that.
Thanks for saying that. I really value the input of the board members. I remember our last meeting that Scott was talking about signage. And I mean, I think it's really important to hear what the community thinks, because we want to try to do the right things. And sometimes it's hard to know what that is. So always want to be open to feedback and, you know, what everybody has to say. Scott, have you been out some in the parks or on the trails, or you have any thoughts?
Yes, thank you. And I want to just echo everybody else's support on the great job you guys have done. I apologize for not being engaged a whole lot. My world's been a little chaotic with everybody else's recently. So it's not even day by day, it's almost hour by hour. But yeah, I mean, you know, things are great. I wanted to ask two questions, or one question and then a comment. My one question was, Bob had brought up, I think, the CARE Act last time. Did we hear anything more from that, or get any response on that?
So I got a call from our finance director, Jamie Roush. We followed up with more items, and Jamie has, I think, submitted that now to the county. And so some of the things that she submitted also included like laptop computer. Talked about that a little last time, because a lot of our recreation staff was doing things from home with their own phones, which is perfectly fine, but we could do it at a higher level if we have more equipment. And so we talked about, Marcia had mentioned, and you had mentioned trash and sanitizing. So we followed up with Jamie on discussions and submitted our list. And then she submitted what she felt like was appropriate. And then we're waiting to hear back that those monies are being, it's the county commissioners that are deciding on that, is my understanding. Is that your understanding too, Scott McCauley? And we are waiting to hear back. Scott's always in the know on things, so that's why I'm asking him.
Yeah, that's you have the same information I have. That's what I understand as well. So hopefully.
Yeah, so fingers crossed, Scott.
Yeah.
Well, if any of us could reach out to the county commission, is that a positive? Call a Brandon Williams or somebody?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing, for sure. I think, you know, that they probably have a lot of decisions to make, but it's my understanding they have a lot of money, you know, to consider. And so as we've talked about, we're trying to think about next phases and moving forward. So yeah, I don't think a good word ever hurts anytime you get a chance to give one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts going on, and the COVID thing and mitigating practices have dominated, but we still got the other things going too. And one quick observation, I don't want to be too petty, but I'll give you my own personal experience. Out on a walk the other day, what was that, Sunday? I don't know. It was way hotter than I anticipated it to be. And I was down Stockstill, and I found myself without water, and I was looking for water. And I don't know if we all realize it or not, but there's almost no to limited water anyway down in the park. In my mind, I don't know why I thought about it. I went to 4 different faucets and they all were dysfunctional. I did then go, maybe I should go over to the tennis court. I did find water running over there, but I have seen large groups of kids and activities down there, and with the heat and stuff, somebody could get in trouble. You'd hope they wouldn't be as dumb as me and not have water with them in the heat, but we do make those mistakes even at our age. So just putting that out there, I don't know if there's anything to be done possibly with that or not.
Yeah, thank you for the input. I'll check into that. We definitely used to have a lot more water fountains in Park, Scott, and we do, and I can't speak to Stocksville Park, I will check on it, but we have unfortunately experienced a lot of vandalism with that. And with, you know, then people started carrying bottled water all the time. A lot of people, when that popularity came in, so we saw the need to kind of lessen those. But I know there is water down by the pavilion. So let me check on that to see if there are things that aren't functioning properly.
Okay, and there's a fountain at the first ball diamond or old ball diamond that wasn't functioning, and a couple of the regular the ground faucets, for lack of a better term. The pavilion, is that the furthest one to the east? Is that?
I meant the one by again, the old playground between the 2 old fields, you know, we used to call pavilion number 1.
Okay, that one wasn't functioning.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it looked like all those had been, and I'm not, even if it's just one, even if the water fountain itself, it just seems like it could, if somebody got themselves in trouble, at least they had a source. So I guess I should have just jumped in the creek. I probably would have been all right, but
How deep that creek is, Scott.
right.
Not
That
very.
Not
That is
very.
a popular feature, yeah.
Yeah, not very. My wife and I, we were on vacation last week, and we actually went to the creek, not there, but we went to the creek closer to the charcoal plant. And even there, that was kind of isolated, but there were still quite a few people. That, you know what, that's been one of Branson's best attractions, is that creek, because, you know, I'm a regular walker around Stocksville. There's not been a day that place has not been packed when the weather's been, has been rainy or stormy or anything. It's been packed.
Yeah, Scott, let me add. So when Marcia prepared something for me about the pool, and I have it here real quick. The pool's been open 49 days, and we've had 98 sessions, and we've had 9,240 paid admissions, and there's been an average of 95 people per day. And so we have our sessions, we were having them at 125, and now we have 150, and 32 have been sold out. But what I was going to say was, when they're sold out, I always tell people, go down to the Stocksville Creek.
They're doing it. They're doing it.
They're there.
Yeah.
One other thing I was just going to add just real quickly to jump in about the upcoming programs and events. Cindy kind of mentioned our plan A, B, and C. And one of the things with our plan C, she mentioned was, hey, we're kind of preparing for all this virtual stuff. And I just wanted to share with you all, our staff has done an awesome job over the last few weeks. I've kind of tasked them with, hey guys, start thinking about what's our short-term plan. If something happens and we've got to stop our programs, we've got to shut down or whatever it is, how do we keep the ball rolling immediately for 2 weeks? So my kind of key phrase to them is, how do we make sure that in that short moment, like how do we become relevant for those 2 weeks? And then we're working on a 6-week plan, and I'm saying, how do we stay relevant for 6 weeks, right? So we're trying to block out kind of 2 months and what that looks like. And it's been a really, again, this sounds funny, but it's been kind of a fun experiment as we walk through it to see the different things that people have come up with, and live musics and book clubs and all kinds of different things, that we've looked at, and coloring contests and scavenger hunts and family movie nights, and just a lot of really neat things that they've all brought to the table. And so just wanted to share with you that that's been a real focus for us for a couple of weeks, and all staff, all of our recreation staff has really gotten involved in that process. And I've got a pretty thick notebook sitting on my desk now of stuff that we've gathered and collected to be prepared. I just want to echo everything that Cindy has said and that you all have said. Like, the biggest piece for us is, I want to make sure if we go into a situation where we can't do plan A or plan B, that we can hit the ground running with plan C.
Thank you, Jason. I think Scott took us right into members reports with his walk around Stockstill. Does anybody else have a members report? Andrew? Andrew?
Yeah, I haven't been out to the pool lately because of the heat, but are we getting any blowback from people because there have been people out there that have been to the rec fest and came down with COVID? I've seen that in the Taney County Health Report.
Yeah, so Andrew, what happens is if we get, we'll get a call from the health department saying, hey, there has been an exposure at Alexander Park on this date between 5 and 6 p.m. or 5 and 7 p.m. So they're finding that out through contact tracing of anyone who's positive. So that information goes out to the community. So like you've seen them all the time at Walmart and Country Mart and, you know, all kinds of different places. So what that does is alert people. That's why you socially distance and wear masks and things of that nature, but without, you know, but I think we don't know that these things are visitors. I mean, I'm not sure that they are in some of the contact tracing that we've heard about. So I think what you have to, certainly you can, if someone says, hey, it would happen on a weekend and it was at the Recplex ball field, you can see, oh, there's a tournament that weekend or there's something. That hasn't happened a lot yet. And so does that make sense?
Because I've just seen too, when Taney County posts the stuff, that they list the place. I've seen Stockstill and I've seen the Recplex pool. I have two more things. I'll let somebody else go. For our spectators for the basketball and things that we're doing this fall and winter, should we maybe be thinking about doing temperature checks, or would that be too intrusive?
Invasive. So one of the things that we did, Andrew, was we didn't start any tournaments here until about the third week in or fourth week in June. That was our first basketball event indoors. Now there have been plenty of things outdoors, but indoors. And so I immediately started doing temperature checks. I asked the tournament directors. That was just something that I did because I felt like it was necessary, because at that time there was not a mask ordinance inside city buildings. So I felt like it was prudent to find a way to say, hey, this isn't just business as normal. And so all tournaments, if you come, you will have your temperature checked. We've also worked with the tournament directors to kind of spread out the games. The goal is everybody's not like meeting each other in the lobby when they're passing. So again, more mitigation, but they started doing temperature checks right from the beginning. And then the last few weeks, they do temperature checks and people are wearing masks and they're told that. And I've seen the compliance change a huge amount in just a couple of weeks. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
That's good. And then the last thing, Cindy, and Jason may need to look into this. I don't know how many people have seen Branson Buzz on Facebook. I have seen some negative comments about the Parks and Rec Department on Branson Buzz, but I can't remember what they are. And I'm done.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll take a look at it and just see what it is, and if there's anything that we can follow up on, I'll make sure to do that.
Julie?
Thank you. I was going to address the hours at the pool. I took my grandsons there twice, and you know, I feel like that this 3-hour break, or there was 3 hours and then a break and then another 3 hours. I think that's great because these kids don't need to be in the sun. The extreme heat we've had, they don't need to be out in the sun that much. And for me, it was easier saying, oh, we got to leave. Sorry, you can't stay longer. So, and I talked to another mother and she said the same thing. She said, you know, it's been less of a struggle getting our kids out of the pool and having to get out because it's mandated and not because she said so. So in that
You're
respect,
not the bad guy. You're not the bad guy.
so, people are going to complain about everything, when Andrew said he saw that on there, there's always going to be people complain, but there's always good things that people don't say. So I think we need to look at those good things. And you guys have done a wonderful job, and we all appreciate it. I think we said that before, but just can't say it enough. Thank you so much.
Scott McCauley.
Yeah, I was going to add, I guess Scott and I are the Stockstill people. In fact, I saw that we actually ran into each other there one day on one of those warm days. I did want to comment two things real quick. One, I did see, and I think it was very, very good. I've seen it at least in two spots. One there at the Cox end of the trail, and one there by the trail going towards the creek. I don't know what you want to call them, the doggy waste stations or whatever has been installed there. I thought they were very well placed, and I think those are very good places for them, especially those are more isolated areas that I think they're very helpful. So that was very much noted. I did want to make a note that, and this is more for information for us, Walkers and Scott, you may have noticed this too, but Cox has now closed that big parking lot there by the I guess it's the rehab center now, because that's what they've been using for COVID-19 testing. And they are still using that for COVID-19 testing now. And I mention that because I know a lot of people, myself included, and I'm usually using the rehab parking lot and starting from there to do my route. But I know that parking lot's been very popular for people to park in, to either go to the creek down at that end or to walk and take that route. And for obvious reasons, I mean, I know why they had to do it, because they need it for testing, but that's going to limit that access at that end to the walking trail. I mean, obviously you can still access the walking trail. It's still fine, and you can still, go from the Stockstill in. But I did want to note, if you or Jason were aware of that parking lot, at least for now, has been closed, and Cox has actually posted signs there saying this is strictly for Cox business, and anyone parking there with non-Cox business could be towed. So just a heads up on that, understanding why, but just wanted people to know that was there. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you told me that, Scott. I didn't know that. And I sometimes will tell people to park there. So thank you for the heads up. We haven't got to look at the trails lately. Feel free to give us feedback when we need it. Usually once the summer's over was when we really start to concentrate on, hey, do we need to, like when we get into some of our neighborhood parks and make our trail improvements and things of that nature. So hopefully we'll be focusing on that when the summer comes to an end.
And Scott, just those new dog waste stations were an Eagle Scout project by a young man in our community, and he actually worked in cooperation with Table Rock State Park as well, and put some here and put some out there. He made them all himself. They installed them, and so pretty great addition for us for sure.
Very good, very good looking too. Very good job.
Clark, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the dog waste stations too, which was really great. We were there Sunday walking actually on both sections, but it was completely full of trash and overflowing. So I didn't know if you had a schedule for when the guys would get down there and clean those up, because people were using it, to get rid of the trash too, not just dog waste. So something to look there. And then many of you remember and know Matt Felice, who just retired Friday from the city engineering department. And Matt, of course, was extremely instrumental in all of the trails, the new trails, particularly the Stockstill Trail going west, which is sometimes called the Ledbetter Trail from Darrell and Virginia Ledbetter, of course. And along with that trailer originally had been platted to go down close to the creek when you get to the far end where the asphalt quits, but it's being realigned, and they're working the paperwork on that. Will be up closer to the fence, so it'll be kind of a continuation of what you're on now, because as it was aligned down to the creek, it had been flooded so many times in large boulders that have obstructed what would be the area. So they're working on that. They're probably not going to be any money in the budget for it, but they're hoping that the guys can get out there and maybe do some chat or just a general type of clearing to get that started. So it should go a little bit less than a half mile further. And then I also saw that out there off of Animal Safari Road, that was part of the trail system too out there. And there's actually a trail that goes there back to an area called the Preserve. It's a development back there. And that was going to be accepted, I believe, right away by the city for trail development at some point. So sometimes getting the right of way and then getting the funding for it obviously are two different things. But those were some positives that went on there. So I wanted to share that too. And then the little butterfly garden that Amy Jackson and Rick Davis and I worked on at the far end of the Sunset Trail extension. The milkweed is up and growing. Bring on those butterflies. So they're ready to go. So a little bit of help going there. So, and again, thanks to Cindy and Jason and Amy for all their great work with the department. It's always great.
Mark, I just want to add real quick about Matt. I mean, when Matt announced his retirement, you know, he stayed on longer than he expected. I mean, I picked his brain because, you know, that guy's been working here for a long time. He's done all those easements. And so he's been a pleasure to work with he's so passionate. And so, you know, I was glad that he was able to kind of get that easement going. I saw that, and Bob Simmons used to talk about that a lot in our meetings about getting that moved, because we know that where we had it planned was going to flood. So I think, unfortunately, that was planned in this year's budget. That got cut, and I don't know when that will happen, but I do hope that we can at least create kind of some type of path. You know, that's my hope.
Any other comments? Micah?
I thought it was funny that Cindy was talking about my little kids, because the baby's starting kindergarten in fall, so they're not little anymore. Hate to tell you, it's been a while. Just to say hi, I mean, some of you know me, some of you don't, but since the last time I was on park board, I am about halfway through my master's of public health now. My concentration is in community health education. So I think this time my brain's engaging a little bit differently as far as, you know, where I'm at professionally and personally. So having kids in the programs and in the community, and then also thinking about it in terms of public health and how we can make it better and great. I'm excited to be back on park board. So thanks, appreciate it.
Welcome back.
Welcome
back, guys.
I'm excited to have you back, Micah.
Thank you, Candy. I appreciate it.
Good.
And Candy, I think Jason would like to make a comment as well.
No, I think we're out of time.
I make a motion.
Nothing ever changes, is it, Candy? Never, never changes.
Oh, I
don't
want to hear what he has to say, but go.
Yes. So I just wanted to share with you all. So this will be my last park board meeting. I've actually resigned as our assistant director for the department. And so what's happening is I'm actually going back to education. I have accepted a position to go teach at the Branson school system at the high school, and jump on with the baseball and softball staff as well. So very much looking forward to that opportunity and doing that. It'll be it's a great family thing for us. My wife teaches as well. We've got 2 young kids, and so those schedules lining up will be really good. But can't tell you guys how much I have appreciated y'all's support. It has been so fun to get to know you all, and to hear from you all, and learn from you all, and serve this department. I know the Parks Department is in great hands. Cindy is literally as good as it gets. She has been an incredible mentor for me. I've learned so much in the last 6 years about how to go about doing your business the right way. And so I can't express my gratitude to her enough. And we've got, I can assure you, we've got some awesome people here right now who are doing a lot of great things, a lot of great staff here. And so I look forward to continuing to be a part in any way I can. I told Cindy, hey, I'm always around. I've already signed up to come help at the garage sale and do some of the things that we'll do. So I'll plug in as best I can and continue to be a part of it, because I'm proud of what we do here. I'm proud to be a part of this community and to see all the things that we have going for us. So a huge thank you to you all for all of your support for our department.
Well, I'll jump right in there. Jason, the city's loss will be the high school's gain, and you're jumping from one set of individuals, the youth, to another set of individuals, the youth. And so I know you will do fantastic there. So you are a born teacher. So that is going to be amazing. Our loss here at the city, of course, is huge, and you will have big shoes for someone to fill. So kudos to you for your great work, and keep that all up, and you're going to do really great. And congratulations to you and the family for getting that.
Ditto for me. Excellent job. Of course, I got to work with Jason when he was out of College of the Ozarks, and I'll follow you. I'll find you at Branson someplace. So Jason, good luck to you. Thank you for your work.
Jason, good luck. You might see me around. I'm a sub, so.
Well, I'm excited because my oldest is in 7th grade and she's been playing softball with Coach Q, and she's coming right up into it, and everybody else is right behind her. So yay for us.
Well, with that, we'll, do I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm sorry, I wanted to say one more thing. Just wanted to thank Cindy and Jason for the extra effort they go to pull together this Zoom meeting. I won't mention any names about who needed help, but maybe one of us did, and they helped me. And so thanks. And Jason, you know I'll see you around. You're always a good friend. And with that, do we have a vote on the motion to close the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Hey,
All right. Thank you, everyone.
guys, talk to you.